everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Madeline from KnittingHouseSquare, and today I have a fun video for you. So this is kind of one of those more spur of the moment videos where I just saw that this product was finally available on Amazon, so I immediately ordered myself one, and I wanted to make a quick tutorial to go along with it. So what this is it's a darning loom. And essentially what these are used for is they're used to create small patches. So what I'm going to be showing you in this video is if you have a pair of knit socks that accidentally get a hole in them, right? How do you basically recover the socks so that they can still be worn? And what you can do is you can use one of these looms to essentially create like a small woven square to really go right on top of that and secure it up. So previously, I'd been waiting about a year to buy one of these just because I didn't quite want to spend the price point that they were currently listed for. So before this, they were probably around like $30 to $40. But now they're finally available on Amazon. So this one I got Amazon Prime. I think I spent about $12.50 on it. So I thought that was the perfect price point to try out sock darning. So first, let me just do a quick unboxing for you of everything you get inside this one. And of course, I'll have this one linked down below, as well as some other ones you can get available on different websites. Okay, so inside the package, you essentially get 5 things plus a little instruction manual. I found the instruction manual pretty difficult to follow, so I'm just gonna basically tell you my instructions for how to use this. Then you get the actual 2 pieces of the loom. So there's kind of like this top part, and then the wooden circle fits right into it. You get a long tapestry needle, and this one's a pretty pointy one too. So this is great for picking up stitches and then also weaving back and forth across and pushing down all the stitches. You'll see why it's useful to have such a long needle here in just a moment when we start doing it. This piece I've never used in all the darning I've done so far. Not quite sure what it's supposed to be used for, probably to unhook the yarn from the loom, but I just really don't have any use for this piece, so I haven't used it. And then lastly, you get a little pile of rubber bands. So I got 5 rubber bands, which is a few extra, but that was really great because I already broke one of them. So rubber bands. So these are going to be the socks that I'm going to be darning today. And first I just want to show you exactly where the hole is. So here, mine's kind of on the foot of the sock. So that's going to be where I'm darning. And you can have your sock held either way. Either way works fine. I'm just going to hold it so that the toe is further away from me. Next up, I'm going to take this wooden disc and I'm going to put it behind my work. So in this case, I'm going to put it inside the sock and I'm going to slide it all the way up to where this hole is. So now when I center the hole around it, I'm actually going to make it so that the hole is a little bit lower than where the center is. And you'll see why in just a second. So you can see the hole just a little bit lower than center. So now next up, I need this metal piece right here. And what we're going to do with this one is I already wrapped 1 rubber band around it. So I find that's helpful to wrap 1 rubber band around it. So I'm going to take this and making sure my hole is still in around the same spot. I'm going to take this and I'm going to push it right into the groove of that disc so that it's right above where those stitches are. And I like to make sure it's basically like my rows are lined up and they're almost parallel to where these hooks are. Okay, so that looks good. Now I'm going to pull my sock nice and tight here and I'm going to grab onto this rubber band and I'm going to pull the rubber band down so that this also ends up in that groove around the wooden disc. Now, once I have that all in place, so that looks good. So now the hole is approximately centered in the center of that wooden disc. That's exactly what we want. So the next thing I need to figure out is how many stitches do I want to be covered up? So I like to go a few from either side of the hole. So it's kind of like the hole, this stitch is still part of the hole. Then if I go over 1, and then let's say I go over 2. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then let's say I go out 1 extra on either side. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to be the width of my patch. So what I'm going to do is I actually just like to count out 8 of these that are in the center. Okay, so now it's essentially like I have 8 of these hooks sticking up, and then the rest of them I just have bent out of the way so I don't actually add them in as part of my patch. Next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwind some of this yarn, and I would recommend you go with about 1.5 yards here. You want to make sure you have plenty of yarn to work with. Gonna thread this onto the tapestry needle. Now I need to decide where I want my patch to start. So if I think of this is where the hole is, then I'm gonna go down about 1, 2, 3 stitches right below that. So that's gonna be this gray bar right above the blue one here. The gray is where I want it to start. And then I need to go 1, 2, 3 over to the side. So first I'm gonna pick up both loops of that bottom stitch, so the bottom corner of where I want the patch to go. And I'm gonna thread my yarn through, and I'm just gonna leave probably about 6 inches or so of a little tail here that I'll weave in later on. Now I don't need the tapestry needle right now because all I'm gonna be doing is wrapping the yarn up around. So I'm gonna grab onto the yarn, hold onto that tail so it doesn't go anywhere, and I'm gonna wrap it around just the first hook there. So that's perfect. Now I'm going to take my tapestry needle and I'm going to thread my tapestry needle through both sides of the next stitch. Now again, I'm going to take this tail, I'm going to go up to the next hook, wrap it around, come back down. Now I'm going to pick up both sides of the next one. And now I'm going to keep on going across all 8 of these stitches. Now when I finish this last one, again, I'm still going to go through the next stitch down here at the bottom to lock that one in place. So now I have my first set of strands that I'm going to be using. So what's next is we're going to begin going back and forth weaving across. So you can do this in another color if you'd like. I'm just going to keep on using the same pink color and keep on going back and forth. So here, the first thing you want to do is first, you're going to go up to the top here and you're going to bend all of these over towards the right. And you can see what that does is that lifts up one side of each of these strands. So now I'm going to go across and put my tapestry needle under just the side that's lifted up of each one of those strands. I'm going to move my tapestry needle down to the bottom here and pull that across. Now I like to put my tapestry needle back in, and I'm just going to push down that set of stitches, or that string that I just brought across. So I keep on doing it basically until I get it to exactly where I want it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here just beyond where the pink is, and I'm going to pick up one stitch over here on the right hand side. Again, both sides of that stitch. Now, I'm going to take my top thing up here and I'm going to twist them so they're all going over towards the left. Now I'm going to take my tapestry needle, bring it underneath the half of the bars that are up right now, go towards the left. And again, I'm going to use my tapestry needle to push down and make sure I can get them as close as possible. And you want to make sure when you're pulling them, you don't pull them too tight, right? You want it to be snug, but not tight. Now on this side, I'm going to pick up one of these stitches. And now again, I'm going to go across the top and I'm going to turn them all the other way. Just trying to make sure I don't split any of the stitches. Now I'm going to bring this again down to the bottom. Pick up the next one. And I kind of just try and pick up the bar that's closest to where the weaving is. So kind of like the level that the weaving is at going back and forth. So now here again, twist them, weave back and forth. And now I'm going to keep on going essentially all the way up until I can't do any more needles back and forth. And I'll fast forward through this and I'll show you that in just 1 second. One thing I wanted to note real quick too, as I continue weaving up, is one way you can decrease the sides of these bars, like the size of them, is instead of picking up a full stitch that's basically all the way outside your weaving, what you can do is you can go basically underneath that last vertical bar, find that full stitch, and wrap your yarn underneath that one instead. So that's one tip to make the sides a little bit narrower. So now I've finished going back and forth, and I stopped already up here at the top where I basically couldn't go back and forth anymore. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take off my rubber band first. So I like to slide it off the back here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to slide this metal piece out of the groove, kind of like I'm bending these two to a 90-degree angle. And now I'm going to slide all those stitches off of their hooks. And it's easiest if the hooks are kind of going straight in the center. So they just slide right off. And then lastly, I can take the disc out from inside. So the last step here is going to be to go down this edge, this top edge where each one of these loops are, and secure each one of these stitches down to the sock. So if I look here, first I'm going to pick up a stitch from the base of the sock. So let's say these two right here, both sides of it. Get that tail out of there. Then I'm going to pick up one of those ending loops. Then again, I'm going to go down to the next stitch, pick up both sides of it, go underneath the next pink loop. And I'm just going to go all the way across this top edge. And if you ever end up like down here, I basically have 3 more loops to do, but I really only want to do 2 more stitches here. I'm just going to thread this through 2 of the loops at one time, 2 of the pink loops. Okay, so now I've gone all the way along that top edge and picked up each one of those stitches. So all that's left is first I'm going to thread this tail to the inside of my sock. And now I'm also going to thread the tail that I started with to the inside of my sock as well. So now when I look at it from the inside, you can see there is my hole, and I basically was able to get all the way around that hole. So the last thing I'm going to do is I do tie knots. I know some people don't like to, so you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just going to tie a knot on either side with my pink yarn. So pick up around a stitch there. And tie a small knot there. And then I'm just going to weave it in. I'm going to follow along some of these stitches here for just a little while. Okay, so now I can cut that one. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing with my other tail. So there are my finished patches on my hand knit socks. A few things I wanted to note is if you are purchasing this one, my one complaint with this kit is that I don't like how sharp this tapestry needle is. It tends to split the yarn, so it'd be a little bit better if this one was dull, just in case the makers of this are ever watching this video. A dull tapestry needle would be better. I do see how this needle could be useful if you're doing this on something like denim or something like that, but for the purposes of hand knit socks, a dull tapestry needle would be better. And yeah, overall I really enjoy this. I think this is really quick and easy to do. Each one of these patches took me tops 20 minutes. So a lot faster than knitting a whole new pair of socks, I would definitely say. But if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them down below. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button. That way you stay up to date on all my future videos. I'll see you next time.